In the restless city of Lagos, where bright lights stretch across the night sky and the streets never truly sleep, stories are born every single day. Some stories are about ambition, some are about power, and some are about loneliness hiding behind luxury. Behind the tall gates of a quiet mansion in the wealthy neighborhoods of Lagos lived a woman many people had heard rumors about, but very few had ever truly known. Her name was Mrs. Temi. To the outside world, she was simply a wealthy divorced woman who lived alone in a massive house. Her mansion stood tall and elegant, surrounded by smooth marble walls, guarded gates, and tall palm trees that swayed gently in the warm Lagos breeze. But inside that mansion existed a routine so unusual, so calculated, that only a few young men in the city had ever experienced it. Mrs. Temi had once been married.
You look beautiful, my
Many
love.
years ago, she had been a wife, a devoted partner, a woman who believed that love could last forever. Her husband was a businessman, powerful, confident, respected in society. For many years, their marriage looked perfect from the outside. They attended events together. They hosted parties. They smiled for photographs and lived the kind of life most people only dreamed of. But behind the walls of that marriage, things were not as perfect as they seemed. Arguments slowly replaced laughter. Distrust replaced affection. And the bond that once held them together began to crack piece by piece. For years they tried to fix what was broken. But sometimes, when something shatters deeply enough, it cannot be repaired. 5 years after their problems began, Mrs. Temi did something that shocked everyone who knew them. She took her husband to court. The divorce battle became the talk of the city. Lawyers argued fiercely. Documents were examined.
Your Honor, this
Property
contract
records
is
were
forged.
questioned.
Objection, that is a
Business
baseless
assets were
accusation.
analyzed.
Present your evidence.
The courtroom was filled with tension for weeks. When the final day arrived, the judge delivered a decision that changed both of their lives forever. The marriage was dissolved, and Mrs. Temi walked away with a large portion of the property settlement. Houses, investments, money, enough to build an entirely new life. Her former husband left the courtroom angry and humiliated, but Mrs. Temi left silently, without looking back. Within a year, she purchased a new home. Not just a house, a mansion, tall gates, marble floors, private security, a swimming pool that reflected the golden sunset of Lagos evenings. From the outside, it looked like the perfect life, but inside those quiet rooms, something had changed inside Mrs. Temi. She had decided one thing very clearly. She would never marry again. Love had betrayed her once. She would never allow it to do so again. Years passed, and as time moved forward, Mrs. Temi developed a system that would allow her to enjoy companionship without ever risking her heart again. It began quietly. One young man was invited to her house, not through romance, not through emotional connection, through an arrangement. The young man sat across from her in a private office inside the mansion. On the table between them was a document, a contract. Mrs. Temi believed in rules, and before anything happened, every rule had to be clearly understood. The young man listened carefully as she explained. First, there would be a full medical examination. Health records would be reviewed. Background history would be checked. Mrs. Temi did not tolerate risk. Second, honesty was mandatory. Any past relationships, any personal history, any secrets that could create problems later, had to be revealed before the agreement continued. Third, the arrangement would only happen once. One meeting, one night, one payment. Then the agreement would end permanently. The young man was confused at first. Most arrangements like this continued for months or even years. But Mrs. Temi had a rule she never broke. No man would ever share her bed twice. Once the agreement was fulfilled, the young man would receive a generous payment. Sometimes enough money to solve years of financial struggles. After that, he would leave, and he would never return. At first, people thought it was just a strange rumor spreading around Lagos.
See that rich woman again?
But over time, whispers began to
Where
circulate.
is her money from?
Young men in quiet corners of the city spoke carefully about a wealthy woman who offered life-changing payments in exchange for a single night under strict conditions. No emotional attachment, no second visits, no complications. Just a contract and an ending. Year after year, the pattern continued. Different faces entered the tall gates of the mansion. Some were nervous. Some were excited. Some could hardly believe the opportunity in front of them. Each of them sat across from Mrs. Temi in the same office. Each of them read the same contract. Each of them signed their name on the same line. And every single one of them left the next day with a suitcase full of money. And a story they could never fully explain to anyone. For 15 years, the system worked perfectly. Mrs. Temi never broke her rules, and no one ever returned twice. The mansion remained quiet, controlled, and mysterious. But one evening, something different happened. A young man named Femi arrived at the gate. Unlike many of the others before him, Femi did not appear nervous. He walked confidently through the entrance and into the mansion. When he sat across from Mrs. Temi and reviewed the contract, he listened calmly as she explained the rules. Medical checks, honesty, one meeting only. Femi nodded and signed the document without hesitation. Everything seemed normal. But when dinner was served that evening, something unexpected happened. Instead of awkward silence, they began talking. Not about the contract, not about money, but about life. Femi spoke about growing up in Lagos, about his dreams, about the struggles young people faced in a city full of competition and ambition. Mrs. Temi listened carefully. For the first time in many years, she found herself laughing during dinner. The conversation continued longer than she expected. Eventually, curiosity pushed her to ask a question she had never asked any of the others before. Why did you really come here? Most men answered the same way. Money, opportunity. But Femi gave a different answer. He said he had heard the stories about the mysterious woman in the mansion, the one who never allowed the same man to return twice. He admitted that he came partly for the money, but mostly, he came because he wanted to see if the stories were true. His honesty caught Mrs. Temi off guard. For 15 years, every interaction had been controlled by contracts and rules. But in that moment, something unfamiliar entered the room. Genuine conversation. The night passed quietly, and the next morning arrived faster than expected. As always, the agreement had RA.